I was at a resort known for its amazing cuisine when the executive chef suddenly collapsed. A commotion ensued, and I couldn't help but be concerned. I rushed towards the kitchen. The ambulance arrived quickly, and we were relieved to see the chef conscious. However, another problem arose. The sous chef was also missing. With both head chefs unavailable, the restaurant worried their dinner service would be hampered. We needed to apologize to the guests. At that moment, the manager approached me. "Please, we need your help," she said. "Me? Really?" I was taken aback by the sudden request. Despite my fear, I couldn't ignore someone in need. I nodded in agreement. Little did I know that after having a beautiful guest taste my cooking, she would approach me, wanting to talk. That night would end up being unforgettable. My name is Ethan Walsh. I was on a solo trip to a resort famous for its food. Working in a hotel myself, staying at other accommodation facilities always felt more exciting. The surreal scenery and experiences were enough to make me forget my troubles. I sighed, took a photo of the charming resort's exterior, and walked through the Northern curtain. A male receptionist smiled and greeted me. "Welcome." "Hello, I have a reservation under the name of Ethan Walsh." "Mr. Walsh, we've been expecting you." As I was checking in, a tall woman approached me from behind. "Ethan, it's been a while. I've been waiting for you." "Taylor, long time no see. You look well." She was a vivacious woman with striking features, the manager and a former colleague. She had trained at my workplace before taking over this resort from her parents. She had invited me to visit, and I finally took her up on the offer. "I'm getting the hang of running things as the manager, but it's harder than I thought," she said. "Not just cooking, but also managing the business." "How about you, Ethan? Still keeping busy?" "Yes, as usual." "That's good to hear. You must relax today. I'm confident in our cuisine. I'm sure you'll be satisfied." "Thanks, I'm looking forward to it. I have prepared a special room for you." I followed her, pondering whether I managed to smile properly. Was I worrying my old colleague? The room had a garden view, and the pleasant scent of grass was soothing. I thought about getting a massage until dinner time when the far end of the hallway became noisy. "Taylor, you're here. What's the matter? What's all the commotion?" "The executive chef, Mr. Woodhill, has collapsed." "What? Is everything going to be okay?" I headed towards the kitchen, concerned. "Mr. Woodhill, hang in there." "I'm okay." "You're not okay. Is the ambulance on the way?" "It's been called. They said about 10 minutes. Just as the staff said, the ambulance arrived. Thankfully, it wasn't serious since he was conscious, but another problem had arisen. "Ma'am, about the dinner service." "Yes, with both head chefs unavailable, the restaurant is concerned that their dinner service will be hampered. Today, a travel agency was planning to tour our resort. If this falls through, it could be the end for us." "I understand, but there's nothing we can do. We'll have to apologize to the guests." "Oh, that's right." Taylor approached me. "Ethan, please, I need your help." "Me? Really?" The reason Taylor thought of me was because I, too, am a cook. But it's a different story to serve guests at someone else's resort. Am I really the right person for this? "Don't worry, we'll have other chefs to support you. You're the only one here with skills comparable to the head chefs." "But, Ethan, please, I'll take full responsibility." I had always been indebted to Taylor. If she was in trouble, I couldn't just stand by. "All right, I'll do my best to match the head chef's standards. Taylor, feel free to taste and give feedback as much as you want." "Oh, thank you." Then I was taken to the kitchen and introduced to the other chefs as a cook trusted by the manager. With the resort fully booked for the day, the kitchen was busier than usual. I was initially bewildered, but I'm a professional. Once I checked the prepared soup stock and recipes, I got the hang of it. I adjusted the seasoning and texture according to the guests, softening flavors and textures for the elderly and cutting vegetables and meat into smaller pieces for children. With the help of the team, I kept cooking dish after dish. Dinner time was from 5 to 7 p.m., including preparations. I spent about 5 frantic hours in the kitchen. Before I knew it, it was 8 p.m. We made it through somehow. Exhausted, I slumped down in the break room next to the kitchen. This must be what they mean by too tired to lift a finger. Working in a resort's kitchen is tough, I thought, sipping the tea Taylor had made for me. but there was a sense of fulfillment in revisiting this old sensation. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to have taken up your time off. Of course, your stay tonight is on the house. No, that's too much. Still, your skills are impressive. You managed to handle new ingredients so well. The dishes tonight might have been even better than usual. Could you teach our chef sometime? I'm not that great. Thanks to you, the travel agency representatives were pleased. They said they'd include our resort in their official tours. This is all thanks to you, Ethan. I really appreciate it. Excuse me for interrupting your conversation. A server entered the break room and noticed me. Excuse me, one of the guests has requested to see the head chef. Me? Was the food not to their liking, or did they realize it wasn't the head chef's cooking? The staff didn't seem upset, so I relaxed and headed to the private dining room. Seated at the table was a refined-looking woman, seemingly around my age. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. Was it your cooking? Yes, it was. It was so delicious. I was moved and just had to express my gratitude. I'm sorry for calling you out so suddenly. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Oh, Savannah, Taylor called out to the guest from behind. Savannah, good evening. Good evening, Taylor. I'm glad you could come. Ethan, this young lady is the sister of a friend of mine. I'm Savannah Williams. Nice to meet you. I'm Ethan Walsh. Savannah, Ethan here isn't the head chef. He's a former colleague from my previous job. Does that mean you work at Cherry Blossom Hotel? Yes, he's the sous chef there. Impressive for someone so young, right? Indeed. I'm the sous chef at a one-star restaurant. But suddenly Miss Williams's expression brightened. Her hands clasped together as her cheeks flushed. Wonderful. Cherry Blossom Hotel is famous for guests staying specifically for the restaurant, right? I'm actually a cook myself. I've been in a slump and unsure about the flavors I'm seeking. But then, standing up, she took my hand. After tasting your cooking, I'm convinced that this is the path I should follow. Really? That much? Yes. Until now, my cooking has been by the book, very rigid. I didn't know how to express originality. Your cooking was different from anything I've experienced before. I know it's a lot to ask, but could you please be my mentor? I have so much I want to learn from you. Being praised like that, it's impossible not to feel happy. Since she's an acquaintance of Taylor, well, it's fine. Besides, I want to hear her story. I want to listen to her experiences and learn for myself. Thank you. I'd love to hear more about your experiences, Miss Williams. I'm so glad to hear that. Afterward, Miss Williams and I, having secured a private room, had a lively discussion about cooking. She said she was still training, but from our conversation, her knowledge was impeccable, and she had solid experience. I thought she was more than ready to work professionally, but as I heard earlier, she seemed to be struggling to find her direction. I'd be happy if I could help alleviate her worries even a little. As we talked over drinks, the conversation flowed effortlessly, and before I knew it, it was morning. I somehow ended up back in my room without remembering how I got there. I drank so much that I couldn't recall. No, my head is too painful to even try to remember. When was the last time I had a hangover like this? Lying on the bed, presumably prepared by the chambermaid, I stared blankly at the ceiling. Last night, let's see, I got along well with Miss Williams. We talked about cooking, and then, no, I can't remember. I noticed a coffee pot on the desk and decided to have some coffee to clear my head. Dragging my heavy head and body, I made it to the desk and saw a note. I didn't remember placing it there. Picking it up, it was written in a woman's handwriting. Thank you. I won't forget last night. It was wonderful. Looking forward to seeing you again. Savannah Williams. What? My drowsiness and drunkenness vanished, and I looked at the note again. The content remained the same. This was a note left by Miss Williams. But wait, what does this note mean? I looked down at myself and checked the bed, but nothing seemed amiss. But what does this note mean? Did I do something wrong? If I had crossed a line, even if it was due to alcohol, I couldn't just brush it off. I needed to apologize properly. I quickly got dressed and headed to the lobby. Taylor was there at the reception. Taylor, oh, Ethan, good morning. Good morning. Where's Miss Williams's room? Savannah. She left early this morning. Morning. What? Is something wrong? I just have something I need to tell her. I'll contact her for you. I'll ask her to get in touch with you. Thank you. I felt like I was barely alive. What have I done to such a beautiful woman? What if she had a boyfriend or a husband? I spent the day troubled and then headed home. The next day, back at work, a different problem awaited me. Heathen, what's with this broth? Is something wrong with it? Don't you see it's completely different from the standard? Back at the hotel kitchen, Chef Anderson was yelling at me. After the former executive chef left to start his own place, Chef Anderson from one of our partner hotels joined us and had been giving me a hard time. I told Taylor everything was going well, but that was a lie. Ever since he arrived, I felt marginalized. Originally, I was highly regarded and trusted by the former chef and the hotel owner. I think it was because of my personality. I had always enjoyed cooking as a hobby before I turned professional, and after becoming a chef, my passion exceeded just a hobby. With the network of people I built and the financial freedom I gained, my culinary research flourished. The more my world expanded, the more ideas I had, and my growing skills contributed to menu development. My menus were often chosen, and my transition from a hobbyist to a dedicated professional was praised for elevating the hotel's culinary quality. As a result, I was trusted with the role of sous chef at a young age. I had thought about continuing as a chef and eventually going independent, but everything changed when the chef position changed hands. Chef Anderson, who was once a sous chef like me, joined our hotel full of determination. He aimed to make a mark in a top-tier hotel, but seemed to find my presence bothersome. Perhaps my ability to continuously create new menus and my recognized skills irked him. He harassed me every chance he got. "You don't have the basics down. Make it like I do," he complained, forcing me to mimic his supper soups or removing me from preparing meals for VIP guests, which I used to handle. His harassment escalated over time. The peace I found at the resort quickly soared. I was only trying to work hard for the hotel and myself. Why should I be oppressed by someone who was supposed to guide me? "What's with that look?" Chef Anderson noticed. Probably my displeasure showed after being praised so much by Miss Williams. He slammed his fist on the table. "If you don't like it, it's the same as not having motivation. Just quit already." That day, maybe he was particularly irritable. He ordered me to do only dishwashing. I was becoming indifferent, fed up with his tyranny. I had already been contemplating resignation. The resignation letter was ready. Maybe I should quit. I've lost my motivation to keep working here. I spent the morning not allowed to touch the ingredients and slumped in the break room when the owner came in. "Heathen, can I have a word?" "Yes." Chef Anderson's harassment only occurred in the kitchen, so the owner didn't know his true nature. Chef Anderson behaved well towards the owner and other areas. I couldn't bring myself to speak up about his actions. Hotel operation requires everyone's cooperation, meaning trust is essential. If the issues in the kitchen were to come to light, it might spread discord throughout the hotel. If I just endured it, the hotel could operate smoothly without any issues. Today, my daughter came to visit. The owner's daughter. Yes, she's aspiring to be a chef at a hotel like this. Would you mind teaching her a bit for her studies? Of course, I'd be happy to help if I can. When I was led to the owner's office, a familiar face was there. Miss Williams. "Oh, Ethan, the person I wanted to see, or more accurately, the person with whom I needed to clarify what happened that night, was there." Savannah Williams was standing right there. "So you're the owner's daughter?" I asked. "Yes." "Oh, did I not mention that?" "Wait, do you two know each other?" The owner asked. "Yes, we met at the resort the other day, right?" Her suggestive tone made my heart skip a beat. All I could manage was a nod. "Excuse me, Chef Anderson, you've come too." The owner greeted him as he entered the room. He must have been called by the owner. "Nice to meet you. I'm the head chef Anderson." "I'm Savannah Williams. Pleased to meet you. I hear you trained at a 3-star restaurant in France." "Yes, but only for a short time." She had downplayed her skills, saying she was only a novice and had sought advice from me. "But she might be more experienced than I am. Would you mind sharing some of your experiences?" "Yes, and I'd love to hear more about your work too, Chef Anderson." When Chef Anderson sat across from Miss Williams, he started talking fluently. a stark contrast to the unpleasantness he showed me. He was polite and had a pleasant smile. The owner and I also joined the conversation, mainly discussing culinary topics. Being in the presence of others, I couldn't ask about that night. I was distracted and couldn't look directly at Miss Williams. Ethan. Ethan. Huh. Oh yes. Startled, I jumped when Miss Williams called my name. I was asking about your menu. Are you okay? You don't look well. No, I'm fine. Sorry about that. Miss Williams looked puzzled, as if she had no idea what was troubling me. How could she be so composed? Was that night's event not special to her? It's ridiculous that I'm the only one overly conscious about it. Afterward, Miss Williams began visiting the hotel regularly as part of her studies. Chef Anderson seemed quite taken with her, addressing her as Miss Williams and sticking close by her side. The good-looking Chef Anderson and the beautiful Miss Williams made quite a pair. Whispers around suggested they were well matched, and some even hinted at a potential match of beauty and success. Indeed, every time Miss Williams visited, she and Chef Anderson appeared to get along well, engaging in lively conversations. Apparently, there were plans for the hotel group to launch a new restaurant soon, and the menu was to be supervised by Miss Williams and Chef Anderson. Miss Williams was also expected to work at our hotel eventually. Being entrusted with such a significant task as her first job indicated high expectations. Those two, a chef and a rising star, honestly seemed like a perfect match to everyone else. Chef Anderson had a two-faced nature. However, with Miss Williams, he might continue to be kind. The two, celebrated by everyone, left me feeling like an outsider. Of course, that's only natural. The daughter of the owner and just a sous chef like me. Moreover, I'm planning to leave this job soon and will be unemployed. One day, I saw Miss Williams in the break room, a warm towel over her eyes. Miss Williams, are you okay? Is that you, Ethan? Yes, I'm fine. Just a bit of eye strain. Scattered on the table were notebooks, pamphlets, and a notepad. She seemed to be busy moving around, conducting field research, brainstorming new menu ideas, and studying various aspects of hotel management. That's good. Please take it easy and rest when you can. After offering words of encouragement, an idea struck me. The first time I cooked for Miss Williams at the resort, she was so delighted. Maybe if I made something for her now, while she's tired, it could help ease her fatigue. With a sense of urgency to do good, I decided to prepare the same taro dish that I had served her that day, along with the usual staff meals. Back then, I used locally grown garnet yams for the traditional dish. The garnet yams we get at the hotel are different in texture and sweetness, so I adjusted the seasoning to make it as similar as possible. I placed the dish on a tray and headed towards the break room where Miss Williams was. I hoped she would be pleased. No, she would be. She had praised it so much before. I was sure she would light up again. This might be the last dish I make here at the hotel. As I was about to knock on the door with these thoughts, Chef Anderson tapped me on the shoulder. Hey, where are you going with that? Chef Anderson, I was just bringing a snack for Miss Williams. It was clear that Chef Anderson had a fondness for Miss Williams, and I hesitated, fearing a misunderstanding. A snack? You think your cooking will suit Miss Williams' taste? I believe it will be fine. Previously. What? Know your place. Miss Williams is first class. There's no way she would enjoy something made by a fake chef like you. Chef Anderson's hand touched the edge of the tray I was holding, and with a crash, the dish and plates fell to the floor. I was speechless as he smirked at me. Who would want to eat your poor cooking? Get over yourself. You're just an amateur with no skills. Now clean up this mess. That's about all you're good for, trash like you. With that, he walked into the break room where Miss Williams was. I had reached my limit. I loved this job, but working under him was damaging my mental health. I was grateful to the owner and other staff, but I was starting to hate cooking itself. After cleaning up the dish I had made with care, I couldn't focus on my work for the rest of the day. My hand trembled holding the knife, and I couldn't taste anything I cooked. I decided to submit my resignation letter the next day. That night, after the service was over, I was polishing my cooking tools, knowing I wouldn't be using them here again. Lost in thought, Miss Williams entered the kitchen. Ethan, have you thought about any new dishes for next season's menu? Her expectant look was flattering, but it also made me feel guilty. No, actually, I've decided to leave this place. Leave? Yes, so I haven't thought about the menu. Suddenly, she grabbed my arm. Miss Williams gripped my arm with unexpected strength. Let's go for a drink. What? Just come. There's something I want to talk about. Confused by her sudden invitation, I followed along, ending up in a stylish private bar that seemed popular with women. Facing each other, I didn't know why she had brought me here or what to say. As I sat in silence, our ordered beers arrived. Miss Williams forcefully handed me a glass and clinked it against mine for a toast. You haven't been as casual with me as you were when we first met. Her slightly pouting expression caught me off guard. It was natural. After what had happened, I couldn't act the same around her. I didn't know how she felt, but at least for me, is it because I'm the owner's daughter? I couldn't respond immediately. Chef Anderson's words about knowing my place echoed in my mind. I've always loved cooking. I wanted to work in a hotel like my father, but everywhere I went, it was always about my father's name, Mr. Williams' daughter, and that frustrated me. I wanted to be recognized for who I am, not through my father. So to prove myself, I polished my skills and knowledge, and I was proud of my abilities. But something was missing. That's when I encountered your cooking. Then Miss Williams opened up about her feelings, one after another. She admitted to being complacent with her cooking, but realized she still had a lot to learn. She talked about how enjoyable it was to discuss cooking with me and how she felt it was fate that the person who made such an impactful dish was working at her father's hotel. She was happy to have someone who treated her not just as a hotel owner's daughter, but as an individual. I didn't mention my father when we first met because I didn't want you to change your behavior towards me. I wanted to be treated as just Savannah Williams. I'm sorry I kept it from you. There's nothing to apologize for. I don't want to lose you. Her tone was firm, her gaze direct. Her cheeks were flushed, not from drunkenness or shyness, but with earnestness. I want to work with you. Did you know a new restaurant is being launched under our hotel brand? Yeah, I've heard some rumors. Then please work with me at the new restaurant. I was taken aback, wide-eyed and speechless for a moment. What? I'd originally wanted to work in a hotel, but after tasting your cooking, my thoughts changed. I want to provide first-class cuisine. First class isn't just about being delicious. It's about creativity and catering to the diner's needs. If I work with someone like you, Ethan, who constantly strives to improve without arrogance, it doesn't matter whether it's a hotel or a restaurant. Me? But why me? Ethan, you've been treated horribly by Chef Anderson, haven't you? Ah, yes. Did you know? Yes. He hides it in front of me, but it's obvious. You've barely been cooking. I've tried to stop it before, but it only made things worse for you. I'm sorry. No, it's not your fault, Miss Williams. Thank you for saying something. I don't think you should be buried here. That's why I want you to join me in running the restaurant. It'll be almost like being independent. I appreciate it, but what about Chef Anderson? I heard you two were working on various projects together. Chef Anderson, frankly, it's not working out. Our tastes and styles don't align. He seemed to be clinging to me, likely to curry favor with the owner's daughter. I had no idea she felt that way. If you're bothered by him, I should have stepped in more. I haven't been paying enough attention. I aspire to further master the culinary art, to exceed you, Ethan, and to create dishes that bring joy to all. For this, I seek your guidance. I had never been so directly and earnestly asked for my help before. Toby wanted not just my cooking, but for my presence beside her. You really think highly of me, Miss Williams. Where do you see that? I pride myself on having an excellent eye for talent, Miss Williams said confidently. Her self-assurance made me want to be more assertive myself, to stand beside her as someone worthy with dignity. All right, I understand. Please count on me. Half a month later, I left the hotel to start working on the new restaurant. When Chef Anderson heard about my involvement, he confronted the owner and Miss Williams, asking why they chose me. Miss Williams replied sharply, "Someone who wastes food doesn't deserve to be the chef." She had witnessed Chef Anderson ruining my dish. She informed the owner, who then deemed Chef Anderson unsuitable as both a chef and a staff member of the hotel. Initially skeptical, the owner eventually realized Chef Anderson's true nature after hearing from other kitchen staff about his behavior towards me. Confronted by the owner, Chef Anderson exclaimed, "It's his fault. Ethan is attempting to overshadow me despite his lower position. It's only fair to assert my authority over him." Subsequently, Chef Anderson was fired for not fitting the hotel standards. The story became well known in the industry, and he struggled to find employment elsewhere. Desperate, he opened his own restaurant, but it soon failed due to a lack of patronage. The owner shared this story with me and added, "Your restaurant is a whole different story." The restaurant Miss Williams and I opened was a hit, bustling every day. We used local ingredients to create affordable dishes without compromising on taste. Our creative cuisine, meticulously crafted to please the palate, attracted endless media attention and social media coverage. It was a grand and successful opening, but we knew we couldn't rest on our laurels. It's thanks to the hotel group's name and Miss Williams' efforts we can become complacent. We must keep striving. A week after our grand opening, we celebrated our success with a party. Seeing Miss Williams happily drinking, I became a little worried, remembering the mistake we made when we first met. "Enjoy yourself, but please be careful not to drink too much." "I'm fine. I'm not a lightweight, but because of that night." Saying this, I showed her the note from that time. Miss Williams looked surprised. "Why do you still have this?" "I wanted to clear things up about that night. That night, when we spent the night together." "What?" Miss Williams looked puzzled and then burst out laughing. "Ethan, have you misunderstood something?" "Misunderstood?" "I'm sorry, the heart marks I added must have made it seem more believable." "So nothing happened, right? Even when I'm drunk, I remember everything." Then the most wonderful part was about our conversation on cooking. Yes. I felt a wave of relief. So nothing had happened after all. What a relief. There was a tinge of disappointment, but at least I understood why I was the only one conscious about it, and it was good that I hadn't made a move on someone I wasn't in a relationship with. Well, it would have been okay if something had happened. Miss Williams smiled beside me, making me blush. Apparently, she had taken a liking to me from the start, and in her drunkenness had leaned on me and made physical contact. However, I had gently rebuked her, telling her to value herself more, which she found endearing, and made her like me even more. To me, it felt a bit cowardly. Now that we had expressed our feelings for each other, we agreed to take our relationship slowly, which was reassuring. Moving forward, I aimed to nurture not only our restaurant and culinary skills, but also our relationship alongside my beloved partner. We both understood the reliability of hard work. That's why we decided to take steady and careful steps together. With the woman I love,